Welcome back to the Chicago Tomahawk. I'm Mike. I got my live mate Matt with me, and today we're gonna go over a little bit of Blackhawks news. We got some NHL news. You know, it's the dog days of summer, so there really isn't too much going on. But there were some. There was a big trade that happened this weekend, and I kind of want to talk about Trevor Zegras a little bit, Matt. So to start off with, why don't you start off with the fan question?
Yeah, we got a nice question from a new follower, Clint. His question was, what's your take on the possible rebranding? Why or why not it won't happen now with the new era? Meaning Danny Wirtz is taking over. Is he going to possibly change the logo now? Because there's been a lot of, rumblings on that for a while. My take is I think it's a small minority of people that are upset by it. And that small minority of people are not even Native American. I think that it would be business suicide for him to change the logo right away and appease the minority. You're going to lose the majority of the fan base. Oh, you're not going to lose them, but they're going to be very upset because it's just about tradition. It's that logo hasn't changed much. It's evolved a little bit, but it hasn't changed much, and it's still voted the best jersey in sports almost all the time. So right. I love it personally. Like I said before, it's a small minority of outraged people, something to be outraged about every day. It seems like in the world, but I think it's gonna stay, and I don't think Danny would do that. Maybe if he's pushed over the next couple of years, I could see him caving in. But as of right now, for the next couple of years, I don't think so.
Yeah, I don't think it's going to happen either, unless people are not signing up for season tickets because of this one issue. Then I can see him budging on it. But until then, I agree with you. I think that there's a minority out there that is really pushing for this, because it is one of the best logos in sports, man, and it's not meant to be disrespectful to anyone. It's not. The name of the Blackhawks isn't like a derogatory name to, say a race of people. Kind of like the Redskins. It is kind of disrespectful, but in their case, they don't mean it in a bad way. So, that's another conversation, though. But the Blackhawks, on the other hand, I don't think that there's anything disrespectful about the name, and there isn't anything disrespectful about the logo as well. So, no, I don't think it happens unless revenue starts getting cut in half. At that point, if it's because of this logo, then I think that it would happen at that point. But until then, no.
Yeah, I'm with you. Do you remember the 90s at the stadium, and even at the beginning of the United Center era, there was people wearing, the feathers, like the chief feathers. And yeah, I understand that shouldn't happen. And you know what? It doesn't happen anymore.
Do you think it's disrespectful?
I could see.
What I mean is, do you think that these people are what I think intent is big here. So we'll say someone is like, hey, I'm going to put on this headdress and I'm going to go to a Blackhawks game because I want to go offend Native American people, or people that are affiliated with this tribe, and I want to go and piss them off, or I want to go and offend them. That's one thing. Yeah. When someone, puts that on, they're like, hey, I'm going to a Blackhawks game because the Indian is the theme and I'm here to have a good time. I'm here to celebrate in the team and to enjoying the camaraderie of the fans and being in the seats and people responding to that. I think that they're two completely different things. And I think for the most part, the people that I've seen wearing the headdresses personally have all been really cool people that they didn't look like they were out there to make people upset.
I never see it anymore. I did when I was a kid. Either. Especially in the playoffs, I'd always see a guy, kind of jumping around, having them on. And I also remember the the 300 drummer guys. I don't know if you remember those dudes.
Oh yeah.
They used to, bang on the drums and stuff and just get people fired up. I don't think that.
I love that sound.
I loved it. And it was great beat, and they'd get the "Let's Go Hawk" chant going. I don't think that was meant to offend people. I loved it. I love that. But jumping over, like, let's say to the Atlanta Braves, their chant where they got the Indian like battle cry song, maybe with the tomahawk chop.
Was that the?
Yeah, I could see people. Yeah, maybe don't do that. But who am I to say don't? It's nothing to do with me. But I could see that being a little. It does draw problems throughout the media all the time. They hate the chant, a lot of the people, and they still do it. So
yeah,
but in Chicago you don't see it that much, and you're gonna see a minority on even Twitter or whatever the hell you call it now. There's always people. There was a question, you gotta get rid of one jersey, keep one, and whatever, hang one up or something. It was like one of those questions, and a lot of the people were like, get rid of the racist one, meaning the Blackhawks one. But it's actually a person, it's Chief Blackhawk. It's meant,
right.
It's a person. It's not a group of people. And, it's, if anything, you're honoring that man. That man will live forever in that jersey. So, I mean, I know the Blackhawks have done great things for Native Americans over the years. They even said last year they had a video tribute on what they're doing in the community and donations and stuff like that. So, I mean, I think the Hawks are fine. And I hope Danny would never consider it, because it's tradition. Original 6 logos, they don't change, man. They're, you get your occasional third jersey looking a little different and stuff, but the logo's mostly been the same, and I'd hate to ruin it.
Wow.
Thank you, Clint. So, good question.
Yeah, it was. It's one of those things where you're either on one side or the other, Yeah. I typically don't know a lot of people that are calling for them to change it, but when it does pop up, like say like a comment on Twitter, like those people will typically have, some other people following suit, but surprisingly there are also a lot of people in there that are saying not to. Yeah. So it seems like the general consensus out there is that there's no reason for them to change the logo.
No. Just look at their locations. It's usually like Vancouver or St. Louis that hate Chicago no matter what. So that's pretty much majority of them.
Sure. So Matt, man, have you been keeping up with some NHL news? You hear about Erik Karlson?
Yeah, I actually got the text from you. Actually, you hear the rumors for a while. Kyle Dubas really wants Erik Karlson, and you scratch your head like, why does he want to get older and older and older? And
yeah,
he ended up getting him. I think this move was for Sid, Malkin, and Letang to give them one last dance at a shot of the cup. And yeah, he might help. He might help this year, but couple seasons, man, that cap hit is going to really hurt. And they're going to be in the same boat as the Hawks were the last 3 seasons, kind of getting out of cap hell, and you got your old guys still making majority of the taking up the cap hits. And you know how I feel about Karlson. I think he can put up points. Absolutely, he's a great offensive minded guy, but that's pretty much it. And I don't think he's going to help prevent goals. I think he'll create some goals, but I think in the end it might even wash out. It's like all those points for nothing when you actually caused more goals against with your pinching habits and your just lack of defensive play. It's not that good.
In a way it makes them better offensively, but it also makes them worse defensively, and wonders, if that's necessarily what they want.
I feel bad for his partner. I mean, that guy's in for a long season. He's going to be on his own, fighting off odd man rushes, and it's not fun. Mark Mathot was his partner, I think, in Ottawa for a lot of years, and he bailed that guy's butt a lot. And San Jose, man, they weren't good. They weren't good last year, and they didn't really have many guys that could, score goals, put up points. And he did a lot last year. I give him credit. He had 100 points. I think he had 20 plus goals, but he was a minus. And I have a thing. If you're a defenseman and you finish a minus, I'm sorry, you don't deserve the Norris Trophy, because you got to play the position both ways, and he just doesn't do it.
Yeah. I honestly, man, I see that Dubas is trying to go in for like a last push, but I don't think this is it, man.
No, you got.
I don't think it's it at all.
Yeah, he's gonna have a hard time, man. Hard time.
Do you think that this could do the opposite, and like possibly they don't even make the playoffs?
I think Karlson will help with points and stuff, but I don't think he's the guy, like the missing piece.
Right?
It's a team effort. They got Jeff Carter, old, Crosby, old, still good, still a top 5 center in the league, absolutely. Malkin, yes, he's good, but how many games is he going to play? Letang, he has some serious health issues. Very good player, but it's kind of a question mark, dude. And the cap hit of Karlson, what is he at? 13 mil? Is it something like that?
I think the cap hit was like 11? 9 or 10. I'd have to look into that.
That's high. So, and I know they were making a big deal. He took $3 million off the books for the Penguins, but yeah, in a couple seasons, man, it's going to be rough, I think, for them. So I think they need to load up with a little bit more if they want to even get to the playoffs. I'm a Crosby fan, though, man. I think he's a great player. I think he can will that team. It's his birthday today. Happy birthday. I think he's 36 years old. He's had some injuries and stuff, but I could see him playing another 2-3 years. 37. Yeah, he's still a stud, but I mean, Malkin, he's a big question mark for me. Letang, question mark. Even the goaltending, I know it's Jari and DeSmith.
Nope, 36.
36 years old, yeah. So I think he's got 3 more good seasons left in him, if maybe, but I think they're just getting very old, and it's kind of concerning. I'm surprised Dubas didn't try to move any of these older guys. It sucks starting a new team with an old core, it's got to be tough.
On The Athletic, it says, Erik Karlson brings what Sidney Crosby and Evgeny Malkin badly need. Now, I don't know what that means because I don't pay for The Athletic because they're usually behind a paywall. But
no, I don't pay either.
I don't think this is the answer that they need. Mainly because after what point in this season are Malkin and Letang going to be on the IR? Because I think they both will.
Yep, Letang has a very serious
and now you've
issue.
got 2 big pieces that you're down. So I don't know, man.
It's kind of cool if you look at the roster. You see Karlson, Crosby, Malkin, Letang. It's like putting a team together on NHL EA Sports.
Yeah, if it was 10 years ago.
Exactly. I was just gonna say that 10 years ago. Holy crap! This team's winning the cup every year, type of thing. But yeah, they're closer to playing golf than they are. They're on the back 9, man. They are. Yeah.
All right. Well, I wanted to ask you, man, what do you think of Trevor Zegras in Anaheim? There's some issues there. He doesn't have a new contract yet, and I'm really curious what's going on with that. Is it money? And he's supposed to be their guy there. Number one, he's supposed to be their guy, and I would think that they would have had a contract worked out with this kid a long time ago.
He's playing ball, dude. His agent's saying, "Hey, we're gonna sit out until we get what we want. We got leverage here. They need us, more than we gotta play the game." It happens a lot. Kachuk's, they did it. I believe they sat out until they got what they wanted, maybe some extra term, a couple mil more. I think they got the space. I could see him getting close to like a Jack Hughes type of deal, maybe 8x8, maybe 8x9 even.
Yeah, I was thinking 9 because I think that might be what they're pushing for. But I just don't see like why they would make this. Are they going to pay him? Is that the problem? Is it the money? Is it the term? Because I would think they wanted to lock this kid up for 8.
I think they do, and I think they're doing the right things. They signed his boy Troy Terry a week ago, like 7 years. I think 7 mil. So he's going to get more than that. And those two obviously get along, and they enjoy playing with each other. So I think it's going to get done eventually. But I think he's just playing the game right now. His agent's saying, "Hey, we're going to sit as long as we have to sit, and we're going to get what we want. And then when we get what we want, we'll report." And it's been done. It's been done before, and it's just part of the business, I guess.
That's crazy, dude. So, I wanted to talk to you. We're going on our third week in a row, the best in the NHL. I want to know who your top centers are in the NHL. How about we can go? How about 1-1, 2-2, 3-3, and see where you're at. How about that?
Okay.
I'll start off. You know what? This guy isn't in my top 5, but I want to know what you think of what's his name, man? Gosh dang it. Jack Eichel. He had a really good season with Vegas last year, and he just won the cup, and he was solid in the playoffs. Where do you think this guy should rank in the top 10? Because he's kind of been on the back burner, I would probably say, the past few years because obviously his injury that he had in Buffalo, all that deal. He sat out a lot, came to Vegas, and then kind of, just had half a season there. Last year was his full season, and he showed up big in a big way. Do you think that he belongs in, like, say, the being up there with, like, Nathan McKinnon and Austin Matthews?
I think yes, maybe probably closer to the end, but I think there's like a pretty big, like I don't know what to say. Like, Matthews is going to get 40 goals minimum most of the seasons, usually probably more. I don't think Eichel will ever get that high, but I'd put him in the same category as like maybe like a Barkov and maybe like a John Tavares type of thing. Maybe I'd say like top 15, solid center, plays the game right. He'll put up points, kind of a big name guy. But I just think there's the top 5, maybe even the top 10 are just so elite. There's kind of a big drop off. Kind of like, like I guess I could compare it to like this year's draft. Obviously, Connor Bedard is the stud, and then Fantilli went second or whatever it was. It's a pretty big drop. He's good.
Leo Carlson went second.
Okay, so he's good, but he's nowhere near Bedard. I think it's kind of like that with some of these centers.
Okay. All right. Well, we'll do our top 5 and we'll circle back on this after we talk about these guys. Okay. Number 1, I think you probably got the same guy, Connor McDavid.
Yep, absolutely, Connor McDavid.
Okay, it's pretty. He's pretty much made Edmonton a contender, a Stanley Cup contender. That's who he is. Number 2, I'm going to go with Nathan McKinnon.
Well, so far we're 2 for 2.
Oh wow!
Yeah, I got Nate at 2. I think he's more of a complete center than McDavid. I think McDavid is all offense. Good leader, but I think McKinnon is just a better all-around center.
He's a good leader as well.
Yeah.
I think he leads. He tries to lead by example, and he tries to, when he has to, put the game on his back. And a lot of times, man, he's able to turn that into something good for the team. So number 3, I'm going to go Leon Draisaitl. Now, we were talking about this yesterday, that putting him at a wing, but he is a center. What do you got?
Well, a lot of the times I see him on the wing. I would consider him number 2, 1 and 2, him and McDavid, but I don't think he plays center enough to be in this category.
Okay.
I'm gonna go Austin Matthews at 3. The offensive minded, the pure goal scorer, scoring 60 one year, he scored 40. I mean, the guy's a machine. He's going to be the stud center there he should be the stud center there as a lifer, but who knows with the new contract talks going on and the cap hell they're dealing with.
Right. So that was number 3?
Yes.
Number 4, I'm going to go with Sidney Crosby.
Okay, well, my number 4 right now is Steven Stamkos. I think he, over the last couple seasons, been very quiet, high points and stuff, and getting 2 cups in a row. He's just an underrated center, I think. He's really close to 500. I think actually he did score 500 goals this year, or he's very close. But
let me look that up.
I still think that he is my number 4, though. He is just a very underrated guy, and he's still great leader. He's just a point production maniac lately, and he's got some good teammates, and man, that team's it's fun to watch, that Tampa team.
He also played in 81 games the past 2 seasons.
He's been healthy. That's the key. Yes, sir.
Yeah, I wanted to point that out. So number 5, I've got Alexander Barkov.
My number 5, like I said a couple minutes before, he's still a top 5 center. I'm going with Sid. I still think that he is a top 5 guy at his age. A solid leader. Probably if he didn't get those concussions, I think he'd be pretty close in points with a lot of these, all-time greats. He still has unbelievable numbers, and it's hard not to root against this guy. He's just an awesome guy. And early in his career, I did prefer Ovechkin. I liked the goal scoring and all those fancy, crazy highlight reel goals. But Sid's the ultimate leader. He plays the game the right way. Yeah,
he does. I picked Barkov, man. He hasn't played in 82 games since 2018, 2019, but he's a good leader. He will steadily give you point production, and he doesn't slump, man. He's really steady, and he led his team to the Western Conference Finals this past season. Eastern Conference Finals. I'm sorry.
I think he lost his partner in crime, though, man. I think that really hurt him.
Yeah,
losing Huberdeau.
I think it did too.
And but you know what? He did get Kachuk, and they finally made some noise this year. That's got to be motivating for him for next season. So. He's still definitely a top 10 for me, Barkov.
Yeah. And I'm going to stop it at number 6. I've got Austin Matthews. And the only reason I've got Austin Matthews there is because, like you said, it kind of drops down a little bit. But I think the dude is a complete dud in the playoffs, which is and the way I did my list was how do every one of these guys has performed in the playoffs for their team in the top 5. They've been there for them when when the team is needed the most, when they need a face-off or have won a cup or close to winning a cup, and have performed, most importantly, in the regular season and the playoffs. Draisaitl, he was a maniac this past year in the playoffs. McDavid was quietly putting up the same amount of production that Draisaitl was, but Draisaitl's getting 4 goals in one game, and trying to put the team on his back. Like you said, Stammer, man, he produced in the playoffs. Crosby produces, and you cannot say the same thing about Austin Matthews, man. The Toronto team in general.
Yeah, they've been choking.
You can't. Yeah, they're big time chokers, and they haven't performed in the playoffs. So I can't sit here and say, hey, you're one of the best in the league when you don't play like one of the best in the league. Yeah, sure, you'll put up 60 goals in the regular season, but when you get 2 in the opening round, you're not helping your team, man. Your team is looking for you to go out and put up some production, and you're not.
Yeah, he's got to step up. He's got to turn it into the Austin Matthews show, and so far he hasn't done it in his career yet. Winning against Tampa, getting to the second round was almost like a Stanley Cup victory for those guys. They can't be satisfied with that.
I know.
They got to keep going. You got to be hungry, and it was kind of embarrassing after that.
Yeah, it was. I was like, okay.
Well, you saw the crowd. Yeah. I mean, they celebrated like it was a Stanley Cup, and I mean, I get it. You win your first playoff series since 2004, Eddie Belfour was your goalie. Ty Domi was still on the team. So, I mean, I get it, but with the talent that you have, like Matthews, Marner, Nylander, Tavares, Morgan Rielly, you have to go farther than that. I mean, your window is closing. Dubas got you Ryan O'Reilly. He got you Jake McCabe. He got you a whole bunch of weapons, and it's just it hasn't been working out. Sam
Lafferty.
Yeah, good fourth line guy, and the problem is they pay these top guys, like how they should be paid, but now you're having trouble filling in the depth, and that's why a team like Vegas won. They had depth and 4 lines that could score, and with Matthews and Marner, they're playing against the team's best defenseman, and they're up to the challenge. These other defensemen they're not going to make it easy for them. So you need your depth to score, and Toronto just doesn't have it. I
may have to change my list a little bit and move up Eichel to number 6, because this dude in his first full season on his new team won a Stanley Cup, and he was a big part of it.
Yeah, I'm happy for the guy. I think both franchises with that trade did good. I think that I think Alex Tuch's an awesome player for Buffalo.
Yeah,
he was part of that trade, and look what Buffalo got with the Ryan O'Reilly trade. Tage Thompson, that guy scored 40 goals last year. Can you imagine when they signed Patrick Kane and he's dishing him the puck?
All day?
He's going to get 50 goals. No, easy.
Yeah.
Who knows? That's just a guess. It could happen, though.
How can it, with Kaner there?
I think
he's going to set
him
up
Buffalo,
like
I'm going for it. I'm getting
DeBrincat's a 40-goal scorer with Patrick Kane. Without Patrick Kane, he's a 27-goal scorer.
Yeah, but that's Ottawa. That's Nashville North. That's a very boring team. Yeah.
So then we can say Tage Thompson without Patrick Kane 40. With Patrick Kane, possibly 53.
I think he played with Alex Tuch. Yeah, Alex Tuch's a good player, man.
Yeah, he is. All right. So the Oilers hired Jeff Jackson as the CEO of hockey operations on Thursday. If you don't know who Jeff Jackson is, he is Connor McDavid's agent. So I wonder how that is going to work out. Is McDavid going to have to find a new agent?
Yeah, it's a little weird, isn't it? It kind of seems a little like illegal. I guess
I've never heard of this. I've never heard of a agent coming in and being a sports team executive.
Well, that's just showing you that
NHL. I should say NHL executive.
Things might not be as well as they seem. I'm not. It could be like, hey, Connor is getting really pissed off that him and Leon are doing everything and we're not getting anywhere with it. So let's bring this guy in to help with some negotiations coming up. I think when's his contract up? Next year?
Let me look that up for you.
I think the next year or the following year, but that window is closing fast. So they better figure it out. I think it's just a kind of thing to keep Connor happy and make it easier for Connor to come back. But the guy is definitely hungry to win a Stanley Cup. He's not going to be satisfied getting all these individual trophies, MVPs every year if he's not getting the most important one.
25, let's see here. 25-26 is his last season on this contract.
So that's 2 years?
That he got it was $100 million contract for 8 years.
Well, he deserves it, man. He
does.
He's bringing a lot of fans to Edmonton, and a lot of Oilers jerseys are, I'm sure, being sold. Even by people in America, like the young kids are looking up to McDavid. The guy's an absolute stud. Just you got to get him a win.
I think that if they don't win it by then, or let's see if they don't win it by then. I think he's going to be 30 in 2027.
He'll walk for nothing. Yep.
Yeah, and he's gonna be like, "Hey, I want to win.
I want to go play.
You already paid me $100 million, and
I want to go play with Bedard. I want to be the missing piece."
Yeah.
Can you imagine that?
Dude.
Oh god.
Oh my god.
The Connor show. Oh my goodness.
Oh my gosh. You know what? We've said some things on here that have been pretty out there, and you know what? They've come true.
Yeah. Can you imagine Bedard, McDavid, Matthews, one line?
on the Blackhawks.
One line. Yeah. No, I personally, I like Austin Matthews, American kid, dominating. I don't think it's the right. I mean, they are saying that there's interest. There's a lot of people saying, hey, he signed a deal with like Goose Island Beer in Chicago, and there might be a connection there. But you got some young.
Goose Island's old. They're owned by InBev, so they're an international company. Yeah. So I wouldn't. Well, I wouldn't put anything behind.
You got
that.
a lot of youngsters coming up, and I think Davidson's a pretty smart dude. He's been doing some great things. He's not going to get himself into cap hell. If he were to bring in like a guy like Matthews, it would be awesome. But you got Connor's going to need to get paid. Korchinski's going to need to get paid. You got to think about that stuff. And I think that's what Bowman really screwed up on when he was, overpaying guys that were too old already. He was overpaying the middle class type player. And then when it came to Teravainen needing a contract, he had to leave. We had to get rid of Bickle with him because that was the perk of getting out of the salary cap hell. We had to get rid of some good guys, and I think Tava would have been good for a couple seasons, but that's just the way she goes sometimes.
Yeah. I'd rather have McDavid, but
me too.
I guess
that'd be awesome. That would be so cool. But
could you imagine if he just walked from Edmonton and signed with the Blackhawks?
I think he'll say, "Hey, I'm not coming back," and Edmonton's gonna get like the best deal you can ever imagine. Bunch of young studs and some draft picks.
How can they? If he says he's not coming back, he could just, people can just wait for him to hit free agency.
Well, yeah, but I think that a team was going to want the jump start on it, like a team very interested. I've seen it done before.
They'll have to give up so much that I think that it would end up hurting them.
You can get permission to negotiate an extension.
Okay,
I've seen that done before, where hey. I want to trade for you, but I'm not going to trade for you if you're not, interested in signing a contract extension. So, I mean, that would be awesome if it were to happen with Chicago, but I don't think so. I think eventually Edmonton's going to get that cup and he'll be a lifer.
Oh, man. I'm going to call it right now.
I thought last year, man. I picked him last year. I thought the man was on a mission. And it just, I think they ran into Vegas, and Vegas is the depth. It just showed.
He was on a mission. So is Draisaitl, but that's two guys.
They can't play defense and they can't stop pucks. So that's two positions you need to, they got to get a better defensive core. And I thought Stuart Skinner was okay in net. I know they signed Jack Campbell, but they might actually be moving on from him. They got to keep one of them, and I think they're going to go with the youngster, Skinner.
Yeah. Oh, my goodness. So, Matt Dumba, 1 year, $3.9 million to the Coyotes. It's kind of crazy that this guy can't get a contract for any other squad.
What?
Is he that bad?
Norris
He's not that
candidate a couple years ago?
Maybe.
The dude's good. He's a good player. I mean, I was talking to somebody on Twitter. I forgot who it was. I think it was a Minnesota guy, but he's a Blackhawks fan. I think his name's Vince. He's a good dude, but I'm like, hey, why wouldn't the Blackhawks go for it? I mean, at that cap hit at the term, why not bring him in? That guy's good. And Minnesota, I'm really surprised they moved on from him. It's very, very cheap hit, man. I thought for sure he'd get 6 or 7.
He probably wanted 6 or 7. They're like, no.
Man, but Phoenix, really? There's nothing else out there for you? I'd fire my agent. Hey, there's 30 other teams I could play for, let's make some calls. I don't want to play for a college team.
Tom Wilson, 7 years at 6.5, got more than Dumba did.
Yeah, that's crazy, man. I mean, look up Matt Dumba's stats. I mean, He's got to have some decent numbers. Minnesota was a good team last year. They've been a playoff team for the last 3-4 years.
Yeah, but that's all that they are. I know,
but they're still a good team, and he was pretty solid defenseman. I want to say he was a Norris candidate one season.
Dude, he played 10 years in Minnesota. They just let him go.
That's crazy, man. I didn't see that coming. I know he's a big part of the community there. They really liked him.
79 games, 4 goals, 10 assists, 14 points, and he was a -8. He had 81 penalty minutes last year.
I did not know that. I thought he's just been a solid guy. What was the year before?
57 games, 7 goals, 20 assists, 27 points, and he was a +9.
What about the year before?
51 games, 6 goals, 15 assists, 21 points, +1.
Man, I'm sorry. I thought he was a Norris candidate one season. I was wrong.
He was a -7 and a -5 the year before that.
Wow, looking at the numbers, maybe Minnesota was, you know what? We're going to move on from you. Huh.
Yeah.
That's a cheap hit, though. I
was never really a fan.
I watched a couple specials on him.
Probably because he's, Minnesota.
Yeah, Minnesota sucks. It's the most boring team.
I would always just just remember the old playoff days kind of a thing. So I didn't think that.
Yeah, even the newer playoffs, like with Devin Dubnyk was in net or Ilya Bryzgalov was in net. Like they just who was their stud at the time? Was it Parise? They brought Parise and Ryan Suter in. Like a ridiculous amount of freaking term that they signed, and they're both gone now. So, man, it's weird.
I think Parise is a free agent. So if Lou Marinello isn't re-signing him, I'd say that's it, man.
Yeah, the Island. Yeah, I think. I think they like him there. Ryan Suter's still a stud. I think he's with Dallas. They like him there.
Yeah, he is.
I like his uncle better. I think Gary Suter was a beauty, man. I miss that guy on the back end with Chelly, number 20. Yeah, the good old days.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
man. So cool, man. Do you got anything else?
No. What are we gonna rank next week? We on the wingers. Wingers. All right.
Yeah. This has been fun.
Yeah, I like this stuff, man. Then we got to jump over to maybe we'll do like a special on the all-time great top 5 Hawks centers. We'll jump to just Hawks.
Sure.
I like that.
That'd be interesting.
Jump over to goalies and maybe centers.
Wow, man. It's kind of, I was just thinking back on, just Jack Eichel and Mitch Marner, man. Not Mitch Marner, Austin Matthews. And it's like, it's actually, man, it's kind of like Taves, like Taves is like, he's not going to get you 100 points, but he is going to score some big points for you. And he's going to play a complete game up and down the ice. He'd be a threat on the offensive end and completely shut down people on the defensive end. Jack Eichel is kind of in that line with like how Taves would play. Probably more offensive minded than Taves, but not as offensive minded as Connor McDavid. And who would have thought, man, that he was going to win a cup before McDavid did?
I've never thought that. They both they were 1 and 2, right?
Yeah, they
1
were
and 2. And there was comparisons actually, and it's insane. Statistically, McDavid's
all those points, no cups.
It's crazy. He's gonna get an MVP almost every year. It's gonna be him or Draisaitl, and it sucks. They're gonna get all these awards, and they're gonna be just not satisfied because they don't have the only one that matters.
Yeah, I mean, well, then think of it this way: if you're always getting these awards, that means that you play on a shitty team.
Yeah, I mean, they're awesome together. I mean, I don't watch them every day. Or, I get to see them when they play the Hawks, and they absolutely just run people over. It's not even fair. He's a threat every single time he touches the puck. He can go from 0 to freaking 1,000, and he'll break your ankles. Yeah. But
except when the game's on the line in the playoffs.
I mean, look, Cale Makar, he played him great. I mean, he shut him down.
Well, he's got wheels too.
He's an amazing backwards. Defensemen are studs. Skating wise, but I think if you change up the D a little bit, maybe make a trade, maybe move somebody, like a Nugent Hopkins, and get a defenseman back there that can help out a lot. And a hot goalie, I think Edmonton, they're going to make noise. They just they can't rely on Connor and Leon every game. They're going to score. They're going to get points, but you got to keep the points out too.
Yeah, that's true. All right, man. That's all I got for tonight, everybody. Do us a favor. Hit subscribe if you haven't already, and we'll catch you on the next one. This is the Tomahawk, and we're out of here.